guys! So this is gonna be a little bit different of a vlog, as I'm probably not gonna be too happy for most of it, but I think it is important to show that my life isn't always happy all the time. I'm a normal person, I just happen to have one leg. On a side note, I got a new leg. I got this leg yesterday, and it's another check socket, so it's made of plastic because I am still shrinking pretty quickly, so they keep making me new ones. Originally, I decided to try a different one other than a pin lock. And so originally we had one where there's an outer sleeve that, oh, this is in my face. I had an outer sleeve that would roll up to suction to my leg to keep the leg from falling off. But I actually didn't like that one very much. So I have this system, which has a ring, it's a suction ring around my leg, and basically I'll spray my leg down with water and alcohol. I'll spray my leg down with water and alcohol, and then there's a valve that I put in here, so I'll shove my leg in there, tighten the valve, and it constantly keeps my leg suctioned in. So pretty cool. Also, I decided to name this one Ren, so I have Ren and Stumpy. I'm sorry if you don't understand that joke. That was a cartoon from when I was younger. I'm surprised the resident at my prosthetist office didn't know that reference, because she's like my age. During this entire process, through this whole process, I still do go to counseling, but surprisingly it has nothing to do with my leg. It has to do with the fact that I am a wounded warrior in the United States Marine Corps. Before I get into how I feel about actually being a wounded warrior, I'll give you a little bit of a backstory. I was not somebody who grew up wanting to be a U.S. Marine. That is something that a lot of Marines from a very young age, like, yeah, I want to grow up, I want to be a Marine, I want to deploy, I want to do all these things for our country. And I just was never one of those people. I actually went through high school and then went on to college, and during my last semester at college, kind of had an existential crisis and decided I need a year to figure out what I actually want to do. I did finish with my bachelor's degree, so I had a bachelor's degree in May of 2017. During that last semester, I just ran into a lot of people, and the military kept coming up. It's like, why don't you join the military? Job security, you get all this training, you get just a purpose for, it's actually a 4-year contract, 5-year for me, but you have a purpose for those years rather than sitting around working at Starbucks, which is kind of where I was at that point. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go talk to the recruiters, end up talking to a lot of recruiters. I'm not gonna get too far into this story. End up enlisting into the Marine Corps. I know I enlisted with a bachelor's degree. You can yell at me for it later. Enlisted into the Marine Corps, shipped off to boot camp, went to boot camp, and that's when I started feeling foot pain, if you've seen my other videos. Went on to MCT and then made it to the schoolhouse, where you get trained in your specific job in the military. And my schoolhouse was a longer time period than a lot of other MOSs because it was a more technical field. It was computer systems maintenance, so fixing radios, fixing computer systems, all that stuff. So I actually had 2 schools, and I did finish the first one, but they found my tumor at the very end of the second one, and so I never picked up. After being at the schoolhouse, not being able to pick up, they eventually sent me to Wounded Warrior, and I got here in July 2018. And my camera's dying, so I need to charge it. So Wounded Warrior is a separate battalion that people go to if they're wounded, ill, or injured. So that's anybody from what you typically would think of a wounded warrior, somebody who stepped on an IED in Afghanistan, but it also includes people that are victims of sexual assault or just any sort of PTSD, which has a huge range in case you didn't know. I'm not going to get into that. There are some people here like me who have tumors, and other people who have cancer and are going through chemotherapy. So there's a very wide range of people that are here. A lot of motorcycle accidents too. Wounded Warrior has provided me with a lot of opportunities. As you've seen in some of my other videos, as you've seen on my Instagram, on my Facebook, I have gone to Canada, I've gone to Washington, D.C. to participate in these adaptive sports specific for Wounded Warrior. And I am very grateful for that, but this is where we get into the stuff that I talk about in counseling. I feel like I don't deserve any of this. Anybody who's ever talked to me about it has told me, when you enlisted, you had no idea about your tumor, if you had one at the time, because nobody can really answer that question for me, but you didn't know about it, and you didn't want to end up at Wounded Warrior. Wounded Warrior isn't a place where you step on the yellow footprints at Marine Corps boot camp and you think, yeah, I want to end up at Wounded Warrior in a couple of years. It's kind of a place that you end up when you're dealt a bad set of cards. It's just hard for me because even when I think of a wounded warrior, I think of the guy that stepped on an ID in Afghanistan and lost both of his legs. When Wounded Warrior was founded, that actually was the intention, was people coming back from combat deployments. But now that the war isn't as, what word am I looking for? I don't want to say as bad because it's still bad. Full blown? Sure. So now that the war isn't so full blown, we aren't getting as many combat Marines in Wounded Warrior. And so it's not like I'm surrounded by those people, but that's just still what I think of when I think of Wounded Warrior. It's really hard for me to know that I'm getting all of these benefits and going on these trips. This is also coming from a time where I'm about to leave for the Warrior Games on Sunday, which is going to include all branches of service who have been wounded, ill, or injured, and a lot of them are veterans who were in Operation Iraqi Freedom or Operation Enduring Freedom. And so it's hard for me that, yes, I have one leg, but it wasn't from a tragic accident. It was from a tumor that I didn't know existed. Yeah, it's just really hard being here and knowing what I'm getting, but feeling like I don't deserve to be here. I'm actually at the point too where I don't put on my uniform. I still am active duty. Kind of frowned upon that I don't wear my uniform around the barracks and around the battalion, but I don't feel right wearing it because there are men and women who have died in this uniform. They did the same thing I did. They enlisted with the intention of deploying and doing good for our country, but they actually did. And here I am about to go to Florida to go compete in sports when I haven't done it. And so just having that, the United States, where's my uniform, blouse, and just having United States Marine Corps sitting over my heart, because that's what they teach you in boot camp, is the U.S. Marine Corps and the Eagle Globe and Anchor is over your heart because you're Marines at heart. And I don't feel right wearing that. There's just so much about being in the Marine Corps that I can no longer achieve because I'm at Wounded Warrior, because I never finished my schoolhouse. Another really, really hard thing for me is seeing my friends that I went to boot camp with or that I was in the schoolhouse with going on and becoming corporal, which is an E4, or completing courses and going on deployments, going on TADs, doing all these things for the country. But here I am being a wounded warrior who doesn't feel like she belongs here. And I know this is something that people can tell me all they want, that just like my counselor said, you didn't ask for this. This wasn't in your plan. But the fact of the matter is, this is where I am, and this is how my life's going, and it's really hard to cope with. Done with that whole spiel. Because you know what, I am coping with it as best as I can, and the reason that I do the adaptive sports and do all these activities is to try to stay resilient, because Wounded Warrior, our motto is etiam in pugna, which means still in the fight. And even though I don't feel like I was ever really in the fight, just the fight of life, I'm still in that, and I'm gonna try to do everything I can until I get medically retired. That's pretty much it for today. I don't really have much else to say. Appreciate you guys watching, supporting me through my entire military career. And on Sunday, I will be flying for the first time as an amputee, so TSA security is gonna be lots of fun. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.